It's hammer time. I just had to, I'm really sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenneth Branagh.
Welcome. Hello, everybody. Thank you very, very much for a very, very nice welcome. Thank you. I appreciate it. I got to tell you, I just got very excited. It's the first time I'd seen that piece, and it was very, very exciting to see Idrisil in Joe's movie. So it was very exciting to be part of the Marvel universe. And it's very, very nice to be here. I'm a Comic-Con virgin, so thank you for having me.
Ken, one of the things that you talked about is that growing up, Thor was near and dear to your heart. I think, I'm not sure that surprises people, but talk a little bit about that.
Well, I'm not a comic book nerd, I'm not like the experts in this great room, but I did read English comics, The Hotspur, Victor, strange titles like that, and The Eagle, adventure stories, and some fun ones like The Beano and the Dandy. I knew very little about American comics, I have to confess. I knew about Batman, I knew about Spider-Man, but the one I loved was Thor. I loved the name. I loved the treatment of it on the comics. I loved the fact that he, as a character, was such a combination of sort of primitive, brute strength. He was always incredibly impressive on the covers. I liked the fact that he was in a very dysfunctional family. I enjoyed that. And that the stories were epic. You know, that they went on journeys and you went to exotic places, other worlds, monsters. I found all of that completely captured my imagination. So when this came up, I thought with Marvel, you know, and Kevin and all the boys and Craig, Carl and all the brilliant colleagues on this, that it would be fantastically exciting to kind of evoke the visual and pictorial world of all of that. If we could do great story, which these comics brilliantly inspire, and great characters, which these comics absolutely have, and great performances, which is absolutely key, and the gods smiled on us and we had an absolutely fantastic cast, and I would very much like, if you would like to meet that fantastic cast. Over to you, Jeff.
All right, let's start. We have, as Agent Coulson, Clark Gregg. Loki, we have Tom Hiddleston. In the role of Darcy, it's Kat Dennings. And from the professional to the Star Wars universe, I think you know this next actress, Natalie Portman. Very happy to be the first person to introduce him this way. Ladies and gentlemen, the God of Thunder, Chris Hemsworth. Welcome, everybody. How's it going? So Chris, I wanted to ask you right off the bat, you know, one of the most interesting things about Thor is the hammer, obviously, and the use of the hammer. It's not necessarily the most obvious and natural thing to think about. I mean, most people use guns and knives and swords in films. How did you find that hammer, using it, swinging it?
Yeah, it was, you know, a whole lot of looking at the comics and working out, you know, how the guy postured and how he held this weapon, and then, you know, talking about functionally how, if you were to hit someone with this thing, what would be the most effective way. And, you know, we worked out, you know, a number of different versions of that, I guess. And, yeah, I mean, it's the same as the costume. It is the character, a huge part of the character. And when wearing the costume and holding the character certainly, you know, does a lot of that work for you.
Yeah. And then, you know, Ken mentioned the dysfunctional family. And for you, it must be interesting. I mean, your father obviously is being played by Anthony Hopkins. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Look, one of the most humble, talented people we've ever met. And the enthusiasm he brings to set is that of someone on their first day of shooting any film, and that was the most inspirational thing to be around. Was, you know, a number of occasions he'd look at me and say, "God, isn't this fun? You know, Ken is one of the best directors I've ever worked with," and just, you know, he was having a hell of a time, and we all were, and it was infectious. Yeah, he's amazing.
That's great. You know, Natalie, Jane Foster hasn't always been the most defined. Natalie, yes. Sorry. You know, Jane hasn't always been the most defined character in comics. You know, is that an opportunity, a challenge, or a little bit of both for you?
Well, it was really an exciting opportunity to get to play Jane, who is a well-loved character, but also one that Ken was really open to finding new colors in, and it was really exciting to get to play a scientist on screen, which I think is rare to see women doing without, you know, the sort of like sexy cleavage glasses kind of thing, to be more kind of a real frazzled, down in the earth, grounded kind of woman.
You know, on the set in New Mexico, you mentioned something that kind of stuck with me. You said that you were really eager to do a big sort of special effects summer movie because you felt disappointed walking away from the Star Wars franchise. That's a very interesting thing to say.
I don't know about disappointed. I just felt like doing effects films and working with blue screen and that whole universe is something that is really a skill, and it's something that you need to really learn and practice. I think if, you know, acting schools were created today, that would be a big technique that you would learn. And getting to experience that with Ken's guidance, who's the master of attacking text and character from every angle, was a really new opportunity, a new way to approach blue screen acting, which was an exciting challenge to go at again.
That's great. And then Kat, welcome. Welcome, how are you? So your character is one that the audience probably doesn't know much about. Can you tell us a little bit about her?
Darcy, I guess, is a new creation. She's not in the comic books, unless I'm wrong, unless she's in like episode 1/900,000 or something. But she's a new creation, and she's sort of Jane Foster's like little helper gnome, who kind of is, what would you call it? Helper, sidekick, little sistery type of person. Yeah, protege, who doesn't know how to do anything. I don't know. What do you? No one cares about. Look, no woos whatsoever. I love you too. That's all I got.
That's fine. And Tom, you know, there's so much going on in the mind of your character, so much going on in his eyes, so much manipulation in his soul. That must be a treat for an actor.
Yeah. Yeah, the god of mischief. The great challenge for me was that he's both the agent of chaos and also the damaged younger brother, the jealous brother, the one who's overlooked, the one who could have done it. He could have been the guy, but he's not the guy, because I haven't got the guns that this guy has.
Yes, you did, Tom.
But it was terrific. It was to combine the mischief and the relish in the misrule and the anarchy that he creates with a sort of a truthful psychological damage. Somebody who is insufficiently loved, and the sense of betrayal and deception, and the levels of deception. Like, he's a great liar, and it's fun playing with, can you tell if he's lying or is he telling the truth?
Outstanding. And Mr. Gregg down there on the end, or as I like to call you, the glue of the Marvel Universe. Do you like that?
Being the glue, I love being the glue. There's no universe I'd rather be the glue of than the Marvel Universe.
You know, it's interesting because you found yourself, you didn't really see this coming, did you? That you would be sort of crossing over into the films to this extent?
No, I did not. There was a scene in Iron Man 2 where they said before one of the takes, tell him tell him you gotta go. Tell him you gotta go, you're going to New Mexico. And so we did that, and Robert responded about the Land of Enchantment, and afterwards, I think I said to Kevin, I should know this, but I know it's a secret, but what's in New Mexico? And he said, oh God, nobody talked to you yet? Thor. Thor is in New Mexico. And it's been such an incredible experience to kind of take the great experience I had on Iron Man 1 and 2 with Robert and kind of bring it to this fantastic group with Ken and Chris and Natalie and everybody. It's really been amazing.